Fall is my absolute favorite time here in Southwestern Pennsylvania. So now I'm going to take you to see 3 unique things to do in this area. I hope you love it as much as I do. It's another beautiful day here in Southwestern Pennsylvania, and we've come out to the Johnstown Flood Memorial. Now, did you know that the actions of some of the most powerful businessmen in the United States led to one of the deadliest floods in U.S. history? Well, it did, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about it today. We are here, and this was Lake Conemaugh. And basically there was an exclusive hunting and fishing club right here near the South Fork Dam. And the day that the dam broke, it broke, and this is where it went. You can follow the arrows, and it went and flooded the city of Johnstown. Over 2,200 people lost their lives in this flood, and it's come to be known that it was totally preventable. There in front of us is the South Fork Dam. The ends remain intact, but the middle is still gone. Right here we're standing on what remains of the South Fork Dam, and it was actually well engineered during its time, but it was neglected for years, and then it had some shoddy repairs done by the Hunting and Fishing Club, and that's what led to it breaking and what led to the Great Johnstown Flood. Now, to be fair, Johnstown has had more than one flood, but this one I do believe was the most deadly, and certainly the one that could have been prevented. The museum is free to enter, so we're going to go in and have a little look. South Fork Dam was completed in 1853 to provide water for the state canal system. But then it wasn't needed later on, and by 1881, South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club purchased it to make it a summer resort. And what happened then was the sides of the dam got lowered because they wanted to make it able to be fished from. Also, there was some damage that ended up not being repaired. Here you see the dam giving way, and it headed straight for Johnstown, but very few people evacuated at that time. And by the time it hit Johnstown, it became a wall of water 70 to 75 feet high, and it was actually 36 feet high whenever it struck Johnstown. The destruction unleashed on Johnstown was quite incredible, as you can imagine, with over 6% of the population at the time losing their lives. And there is still some debate as to what was the cause of the tragedy. It certainly was a mix of the storm, the geography, and the dam, but a lot of people do hold the people that owned the Hunting and Fishing Club responsible, even though they were never brought to justice. How was that?
That was a good movie up there and a good walk out here. It's beautiful, and the trees are changing leaves.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Nice way to spend a day if you're in Southwestern Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
If you do come out here, one of the best things is it's free, which you don't get too many sites like that these days. So come on out and enjoy Southwestern Pennsylvania at its most interesting and its best. Good afternoon, everyone. We've come out to Blairsville in Southwestern Pennsylvania for a very special part of hidden history here in this part of the state. Now, did you know the Underground Railroad went through Western Pennsylvania? It did. And Blairsville was an important stop for slaves who had escaped and were moving north towards Canada, one hiding place at a time. It's thought that about 3,000 citizens in this area alone helped hide slaves, and that history can be experienced here at the Blairsville Area Underground Railroad Museum. It's housed in the oldest African-American structure in town, the former Second Baptist Church building. So let's go learn something. The Underground Railroad was a loose network of people helping freedom seekers to gain their freedom. And some of the people were railroad conductors. That means that they helped lead people through the area. And one of these was John Graff. This is one of the newest artifacts here at the museum. It's actually one of the beds that freedom seekers slept in whenever they reached his home. He was a wealthy merchant, and he was heavily involved in the Underground Railroad movement. It was illegal to hide runaway slaves, but many still did. The slaves were known as freedom seekers, and regularly catchers would come by Blairsville as it was a transport hub. This is an example of how locals would assist slaves seeking their freedom. Most of the slaves in the Underground Railroad in this part of the country came from the Appalachian region. So here's where that is. Stretches from Mississippi clear up to New York. The museum covers a large range of topics, from children in slavery to the history of slavery in the Appalachia region, to the Underground Railroad in this region, and Pennsylvania as a whole. That was an amazing museum, and if you want somewhere to eat afterwards, you can come to Iron Alley. It's actually Iron Alley Saloon. It's got craft beer and what smells like delicious food.
It's burn, they burn. It's a big pizza. Mm-hmm. You'll take it home.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to Southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm going to show you one of the unique sites here if you're visiting. Fallingwater. Set in a rural setting here in Pennsylvania, you really can't believe how beautiful this is in fall. The leaves are just starting to change. Absolutely amazing. What a setting. Would you build your house on a waterfall? Well, that's exactly what Frank Lloyd Wright did when he built this house for the Kaufmans. They commissioned him to build this summer house here in rural southwestern Pennsylvania. It was constructed over a 30-foot waterfall. Frank Lloyd Wright is considered to be one of America's most famous architects. The entrance fee is $39. You're not allowed to bring any food or drinks inside the park. Here we have the visitor center. At the back there is the cafe. To the right, there's the museum store. Wright believed that if you had a house, it had to work with nature. So a lot of times nature was not changed as this house was built. You can see it's sitting on the rock. The waterfall, you can step right out the front and into the waterfall. He really wanted this place to be one with nature. The Kaufmans utilized Fallingwater as a weekend retreat from 1937 to 1963. After that time, the son, Edgar Kaufman Jr., donated the property, and it's now used as a museum and tourist site. That's it. That's my time here in Pennsylvania done. And that's what I wanted to show you of my area. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something. This part of the U.S. is really historic, so I think it's definitely worth coming to visit, even though the towns here aren't quite what they used to be. You know, they've had a lot more prosperous times, but there's so much history. The people have real grit here. So if you're thinking about visiting southwestern Pennsylvania, I certainly hope that you do. Thanks for watching. We're Girls on the Loose. The premier sites here sites to visit here if you're in this city. Welcome to southwestern Pennsylvania. I'm going to show you one of the most